Hello everyone, I hope I'm in focus and my head's not getting cut off here, but I am Hawk, or Mary. I am the owner and tarot reader for Hockey Arts and Tarot on Etsy. Link in the description and pinned comment if you're interested in getting a reading from me. And I am also an artist. I also have a Ko-fi if you want to support that financially. No pressure, but any support of me or my channel or my content is greatly appreciated. But I wanted to talk about some things to know, 5 things to know about tarot. Now this is a first part into my tarot series, and this was suggested by Almsy8625, so ALMSY8625. That user or individual, that person, suggested some tarot videos, and I'm like, you know, that's a really good idea, especially as a tarot reader. I want to not only provide insight through my tarot content that is paid for, but also some free things for people who want to get into tarot but don't necessarily want to pay for a reading. I thought that would be a great idea, so I wanted to talk about 5 things one should know about tarot. Now, disclaimer, I am very awkward and rambly, and I find it hard to articulate sometimes as a result of being neurodivergent. So yes, I have a touch of autism as well as some focus issues, but that's not the point of this video. I just thought I'd let you all know in case you see me looking at the script down here. It's not because I don't want to do, just because I don't want to do eye contact, it's also, you know, staying on focus, staying on track. So with that being said, let's get into 5 things you should know about tarot if you want to get into it. So number 1, what is tarot? So tarot is a card-based divination system. There are typically 78 cards, though I do have other decks that have more. The like 80 cards, like 2 extra cards or something like that. That would be like the White Newman, a Sacred Animal Tarot is an example of that, but most tarot decks will have 78 cards. It is a card-based divination style that can be used to get intuitive insight, commune with spirits and deities, predict the future, do shadow work, get a heads up for the day, reflective work, learning lessons, or like trying to figure out situations and what course of action to take. There's so much that this divination style can offer for somebody. If you can think about it like helping you process or like get an idea or some insight, that these are fantastic for that, as well as communing with spirits and seeing what messages they have to give to you. This card system, this divination style, is absolutely fantastic for that, and I often use it for daily pulls, so getting a heads up for the day, as well as communing with deities that I work with. Now, number 2, the second thing to know about tarot is that there is the major arcana, which is 0 through 21, so 22 cards, and it is often tied to major themes regarding your or other people's that you are reading for situations, along with the major themes or messages that are trying to call out to you. Now, I'm sorry about the train horn in the background. I live next to a train yard, but that's not the point. Now, the major arcana are not just tied to major themes, but they can be tied to numerology, so 0 through 10, 1 through 10, as well as astrology and each other. So an example of that, if I use my tarot book, and I'm sorry if you can't hear me, so you have the Hierophant, which is 5. So it is tied to 5, which is conflict, struggle, challenges, and but astrologically, the 5th sign, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is Taurus. So it's also tied to Taurus in that regard. Now, being tied to the other cards, what I mean by that, ties into numerology, it would be tied to Temperance, which is 1 plus 4. So the double-digit cards that you can add up, the digits, the 2 digits in the double digit can be used to connect it to another card within the major arcana. Sorry, something was in my throat. Still is. But essentially you can use that to get additional context and information into your readings. So you're like, okay, I pulled Temperance, but I feel like, okay, how do I need to be balanced and moderate? How do I need to moderate things? What can I do to better moderate? And so if you tie it to another card that may not be immediately present within your reading, such as the Hierophant, which is the card it's tied to, 1 plus 4 is 5, it would say, oh, learn the rules, or get some of the rules down, learn some of the traditions, have a teacher, that type of thing. Get some not rigidity, but some structure into your routine so that you can then indulge in moderation, within moderation. So that would be what I mean by getting additional context and connecting one card to another. Even if the other card isn't present in the reading, you can use numerology and the top cards ties to other cards to get additional context and information within your readings. So number 3 would be, along with the major arcana, there are 56 cards within the minor arcana. There's a major and there is a minor arcana. Now the minor arcana are not unimportant. They're not the major arcana, but that doesn't mean they're not important. So the minor arcana are divided into 4 suits, much like a card deck or deck of cards of playing cards. The cups being water, wands being fire, pentacles being earth, and swords being air. They have 10 numbered cards, so 1 through 10, like a deck of cards, as well as the 4 court cards. In this case, in most decks that follow the Rider-Waite-Smith system, which is one of the original types of tarot cards made for the mass audiences. It wasn't the original deck of playing cards in Catholicism, but it was one of the more mass-marketed forms of tarot. Now, it has 4 court cards, which is Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So Page, Knight, Queen, King. Sorry, I couldn't read what I wrote there, but those are the 4 court cards. Now that can change. The names for them can change based on the deck. There are things like, I think it's the Hermetic Tarot, I believe. You can correct me on that. That uses like princess and prince, things like that. Or like there are some decks that will say daughter and son instead of page and knight. So it's always important to pay attention to like what they are saying and how they are using those names instead of like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith style, which would use 1 through 10 and then page, knight, king, queen. They might alter the 4 court cards. Now the 4 court cards are major themes or more major themes within the minor arcana. So while they don't necessarily pull all the way, they are more the pillars or the strongest aspects of that suit. And the rest of the cards I often see, now this is up for interpretation, your interpretation is valid, but I often see the other cards in the minor arcana as kind of weaving together to tell a story, to spin a narrative, be it insight into a situation, the future, or a different perspective on the past. They are often strung together intuitively to paint a picture of whatever situation you're going through or others may be going through. So number 3, my point is there are 4 suits within the minor arcana: cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. And there are also 4 court cards: page, knight, queen, king. And the court cards are the more major themes or the strongest points within the minor arcana, but that is not to discount any of the minor arcana. Those are often tied to numerology, what they are, but and also major themes regarding the elemental and zodiacal associations with the respective suits. And they are often strung together intuitively. The minor arcana are to paint a picture of a situation, and the biggest standouts would be like the court cards and the major arcana would be the biggest standouts, while the other cards might be like other messages and context surrounding that situation, if that makes sense. So number 4, fourth point, which I already kind of covered, but the court cards are the more major themes within the minor arcana. So the 4th point is that. So again, like I keep reiterating, the minor arcana has a lot of themes, but within there are things like, say, 3 of Swords will be like loss and heartbreak, while 3 of Cups may be more community based, but it's all tied to the number 3 and how it respectively fits in. But the court cards are more the strongest aspects or more major themes within the minor arcana. Now they're not quite as major archetypally speaking, as the major arcana, but they are still major within their own right. They're just not major arcana. They're just standout, really strong points, as far as I'm concerned, within the minor arcana. They're the more, depending on the situation, it could be more or less important, but they're often more standout themes or messages within the minor arcana. So number 5, last of this rambling. So while guidebooks such as this one, which is Guided Tarot for Seamless Readings by Stephanie Capone, and this that might come with your tarot deck, the guidebook that might come with your tarot decks, they are useful for putting words to what you are feeling and picking up on intuitively, and they are very useful for articulating your intuition, especially like if you're me and you're very neurodivergent, gotta touch the tism, you have trouble focusing. Yeah, this I do sometimes use, not because I don't know the meaning. I absolutely know the meaning. It's just that I have issues articulating things sometimes. Like, I get the meaning, but admittedly, yes, I do have problems articulating things. It's hard for me to like string it together cohesively in a way that your brain might digest, if you couldn't tell already. So guidebooks are great for that. While they're great for that, it's best to try to pick up on what you are feeling based on the context of your situation, your intuition, and let the patterns, the imagery, the colors, the numbers, and intuitive hits guide you the most, and build up your confidence with tarot. I don't want you to just rely on the book. Don't just rely on the book for doing the legwork within your tarot. It's great for when you're starting out and you're getting used to the meanings, or trying to articulate things, even if you're like less beginner. Like, I'm still like, I consider myself novice to professional. Like, I'm always going to be learning, in the sense that I'm always going to be learning, but I do it for a profession. But you know, it's best that you string together the message that you are feeling most intuitively, and don't let others' interpretations of the cards necessarily dictate what it means for you and your situation. So try to pick up on what it means for you. What are you feeling in your heart? What are you feeling in your gut, your intuition? What are you feeling these cards are trying to tell you, or this entity is trying to tell you, or the messages that your guides are trying to tell you? What stands out to you the most? What associations of color and numbers and imagery and intuitive hits, what are the associations that you feel with those things? And how does that reflect upon your situation and what you can do in those situations? I want you to build up your confidence. So with that being said, I hope this video was helpful. To TLDR this, one, tarot is a great divination and spirit communication tool, as well as shadow work and reflection tool. It's great for intuitive insight and just getting a heads up or reflecting upon life situations and getting some context and advice. 2, the major arcana is major archetypal themes, 0 through 21, and they are tied to numerology, each other, astrology, and major themes within your lives and your situations and your readings. 3, the minor arcana are 4 suits, cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. They are tied to water, fire, earth, and air respectively. There are 10 numbered cards along with the court cards, and they often have more in-depth themes that aren't necessarily as standout or archetypal as the major arcana, and are strung together intuitively to paint a picture of your situation. 4, the court cards, which is page, knight, queen, and king, are more major themes within the minor arcana, so they are the most amplified or standout themes typically within a reading within the minor arcana besides the major arcana. And 5, try to build up your confidence when you are reading tarot. Guidebooks are useful for putting words together or like articulating what you are feeling intuitively, but it is best to not rely on the guidebooks and more go with what you are feeling in the context of your reading and your situation and what you are feeling intuitively. So let the patterns, imagery, colors, numbers, and intuitive hits guide you within your reading. Don't just rely on someone else's words and interpretation of the cards. Let your interpretation help you, because it's important that you trust yourself and that you build up confidence in your reading skills. So I hope this was helpful. This is Hawk signing out, and thank you for coming along on this part of my journey, and thank you to Almsy8625 again for suggesting this video. This is Hawk signing out. Please consider supporting my tarot business, Hockey Arts and Tarot, or my Ko-fi, or any of my social media pages that I link below. And as always, thank you for supporting me. Thank you.